What is unethical as fuck, but is extremely common practice in the business world. Firing a manager, then dumping their responsibilities on a regular worker with no pay raise. More generally, not replacing workers as they exit and dumping the workload on the dwindling staff without increased pay. Not paying invoices until you've been chased multiple times. As standard policy. Had a boss who did this but hated it when people did it to them. Boss claimed they paid late because everyone else did. But there are plenty of arguments each way there. Boss also hated it when one creditor applied to have the company wound up for non-payment because of the delay. In boss's semi-defense, it was like the proverbial sledgehammer to crack a nut. The bill was for a relatively small amount of money. In the creditor's defense, I think they were making a point about the whole late payment practice in general. A tactic that should be used more often. It's usually cheap and easy, and nothing moves a payment like the threat of bankruptcy. I worked as a fraud investigator at a bank. We have rules and laws that we have to abide by, or the company got fined. I had a higher-up tell us explicitly that there are no exceptions to the rules, except for our more affluent customers. That's why I hate management. They lie. Oh, next year you guys will have the holidays off. I'm still working every holiday. You can't use your cell phones because it's a security issue. A security guard will escort anyone out that uses their phone. Same manager walks by on their cell phone an hour later. If it's not in print, it's just talk. I hate how convoluted it is to cancel a *gym membership in most places. It's super shady. Sometimes you have to mail a letter to the company's headquarters. Canceling at the gym isn't enough. Lots of people have gotten bills months later even though they were told over and over it was complete. I had such a hard time canceling my Planet Fitness membership I finally had to cancel the card it withdrew from Monsieur. I cancelled PF a couple years ago by telling the front counter that I didn't want my membership any more. I think I had to sign something. Took one last Tootsie Roll and left. Did it check chronically and purposely understaffing. Looking at you, retail and assisted living companies. The staff who take care of our aging citizens are being treated like dirt. I never realized how bad this problem was until I did a clinical rotation in a nursing home. One nurse to 20 patients, one CNA to 10 patients. They were absolutely not being turned, briefs checked every 2 hours. Barely getting full bed baths daily. Let alone personal interaction that is vital for quality of life and well-being at that age. It breaks my goddamn heart to watch the CNAs deal with patients, yanking them around in the beds. And apparently I was at one of the better facilities in town. I will cry if I ever have to put my parents or grandparents in a home like that. ETA, I've said this in comments below, but I am absolutely not putting blame on the CNA, aides. This is an incredibly complex issue of making LTC affordable, but also needing to pay staff, as well as having enough cash left over to actually treat patients. Most CNAs, aides are saints, and those people are very much appreciated and respected. Burnout is very real. You are worth so much more than $10 minus 12 hours. I love you. Thank you for everything you do for your patients. When I worked part-time at Sam's Club, the manager was intentionally cutting our hours back to take away from our bonus and add to his at the end of the year. This also happened when my husband and I worked at the Home Depot. The bonus was more than some people make annually. One of the ASMs straight up bought a new car. Unpaid internships are supposed to be on-site learning opportunities but are often just slave labor. It's actually illegal for an unpaid intern to do anything that can be considered work for the company. But it hardly gets reported because those interns need that slave internship to get into their career field. This story made me very happy and I really wish I could find the outcome to the lawsuit. I know personally how fucking garbage their internship program is. They literally tell you how many toilets there are to clean in the interview. Fuck the McBrides. Raising prices before putting items on sale. Looking at you, Coles. As a former Coles cashier, I can attest that they are the worst with this. It should be illegal. The multitudes of ways in which work life bleeds into personal life, and you're expected to just accept that, else you're perceived as someone who doesn't want to get ahead or otherwise isn't as valued as the person who does. The company will always try and get more free time from you, but far less than always actually give you back what that extra time costs. Another subset of this is when you go above and beyond for a company once, and suddenly that becomes part of your job. And God forbid if you ask for extra pay because of this. Totally agree. Had a colleague who would come in an hour earlier than her start time because she needed to drop her kid off at school. And it just worked out easier for her to come in at that time. She would still only take her assigned lunch and leave at 5 p.m. So was working an additional hour each day. One day she didn't come in until slightly later than her start time. And my God, you should have heard the bitching from people who just expected her at this point to be there early. I wasn't particularly high-ranking in the company at that time, but you can be sure I set those people straight. Purposefully giving part-time employees erratic schedules so they can't take on a second job. Lol, I worked at a restaurant that did this. So my co-workers and I made our own schedules and traded shifts every week to keep it consistent. Manager couldn't do shit about it because we were allowed to trade shifts. And changing that policy would make half the place quit. Congratulations, you basically created a union. Using a bid process to get competitive information and then use it to negotiate a deal instead of awarding the bid you advertised. I don't know about unethical as fuck, but going through the motions of pretending to entertain outside candidates when you've already decided on who internally will get the job wastes everyone's time. Sometimes it's company policy to post an interview for all positions, especially within a union setting. It's extremely frustrating because I've been dragged through a good half-dozen interviews, call-backs when they already had someone lined up. Yes, this happened to me as well. Internal job applications are tailored for the specific candidate, and they just interview other applicants because they are bound by HR rules saying they must. Hiding fees until the service is provided. I was in a car accident that required an ambulance ride, and I was charged double for it. Apparently the two ambulance companies in my area are in cahoots. So rather than share the business in my area 50-50, they apparently devised a way to split it 100/100. They each have one person from the other company ride in their company's ambulance. The explanation I received was since a medic from the other company was riding along in the ambulance I took, they now can both charge me. Again, they didn't split the fee. They each charged me fully. It's almost a brilliant scheme, but also absolutely unethical and ridiculous. And I can't fathom how this is even legal. On a side note, they didn't even treat me on the ride. Imagine airlines double charging for a seat because one of the pilots was from another airline. INSAP, treating people bad, to make them quit the job because you don't have the balls to fire them or you are afraid that the word your company can fire someone anytime will spread and you will lose control. I think this has to do with avoiding paying benefits. I think employers can sometimes be made to pay some amount of their fired employees' unemployment benefits. There are a million different variables to consider how and when this would apply, though. In the US, unemployment benefits basically work like an insurance policy. If you fire someone, that person makes a claim and get paid. Then the employer's unemployment insurance rates go up because a claim had to be paid. So yes, companies actively avoid firing because if they force you to quit, then your claim gets denied and their rates don't go up. This one was invented by Walmart, but I know that Home Depot does it too. I am sure other larger companies do it as well. 1. Place an order with a legally crafted purchase order. One of the T&C is that the company reserves the right to cancel the order at any time for any reason. 2. The smaller company receiving the PO is all excited and they go ahead to fill the order. This often involves paying out in order to fulfill the order. 3. After the product is ready to be shipped, the buyer calls the company, saying stuff like, "The pricing need work. We can't make money at this price point. We need some concessions." Practically, they negotiate a lower price that results in the seller working for very little money, or barely breaking even, or losing money on the order at times so badly to go out of business. This has happened to my business in the past, and now I ask that any special or significantly large order be able to put a down payment. However, some companies act like asking for a down payment is the same as grabbing their partner's ass and act tremendously offended. And I apologize for the crude remark, but I was struggling to think of an analogy.